Okay, so it is, I don't know what day it is. I think it's the 26th of June. This video might not be uploaded for a bit. Kind of depends on how I feel. But as you can see by the title, this is a list of things that have gone wrong while living in Philadelphia. And just all the things that make me unhappy in general while being here. So first, we're going to go back before I even left to Philadelphia. The Emily letter. I wrote a letter to somebody I worked with. Only the other issue was I didn't mean it. I don't know what I was thinking. This person I felt to be extremely rude because they never looked at me in the eye when I talked to them, like ever. And like the last literal conversation I had before I left and when I gave them the letter, not even close to looking at me. Not even close. Like, it was like, it was insane. It was genuinely, I don't know. It's really disrespectful, I felt like. And it kind of, well, besides hurting my feelings, it pissed me off too. Because it was just like, what's wrong with me to where I can't be looked at like a normal person? But whatever. So that left a bad taste in my mouth before leaving. Then I also got a bad look from one of her good friends. So that was also a terrible thing. Anyway, number two, after I moved to Philadelphia and I was, I don't know, engaging in school behavior, I was engaged in a conversation with somebody and I turned into, this is apparently such a me thing, but I don't really know what it is. I asked this individual a question that was rather inappropriate, but also not harmful, or I was not trying to be harmful. And I don't know, they answered it and we just had a conversation and it was just kind of it. I wasn't really thinking of anything else. Yeah, I don't know. That was dumb. And I did it to another person. That one was also just kind of, I don't know how to put this, man. It was dumb overall. Stupid choices, stupid decisions, stupid questions, but I don't know, man. Is it that big of a deal? Probably not, but was it a big deal then? Yeah, I guess so. The third thing was at my internship, a child lied about telling them to shut up. So I had a number of clients at a school, and oh, nice. And at some point during the second semester, one of the clients had told my supervisor when I wasn't there that I had told them to shut up, which was not true because I would never tell that to a child during a session and just in general. It's not what I don't know. I had a suspecting theory, like I had a number of theories, but one of them was based off of evidence and the other one was just based off my thought process. The evidence-based one was like, if this kid doesn't get their way, do they do things out of line? I was asking this to one of his teachers and he's like, yep. And I was like, okay, well that's, and this was one of the teachers that was more like honest based, and like really built on, at least I felt, built on understanding his classroom and his children that he deals with every day. So that's why I asked him, and you know, I kind of figured that this was something. But my mental gymnastics came up with, so the child is in a pretty much all black Christian school, and this child's white, and so I had theorized, because he sometimes gets teased about being white by his black counterparts and some of his friends, and so I felt maybe there was a time, I mean, he talked about there were times when kids would actually make fun of him when he was white or whatever, And I'm assuming, maybe, I don't know, that there was a day, either the previous week or sometime, he didn't tell me about that. And then when he got the chance, he told my supervisor that I said that, and maybe he's projecting his, I was going to say inner hatred, but I can't really say a child has hate, but inner like hurt feelings or bias from all that onto me, and then explaining it to my teacher, or my supervisor. And I hate being told that I did something that I didn't do. That happened to me when I was in second grade with a whole nother incident about slapping a girl. That was fucking ridiculous. But yeah, that was annoying. And then to make matters worse during that internship, I think during the second semester as well, there was another student I was dealing with, and the student had emotional issues, and it spread to home. And I didn't say what I had to write an assignment called the process recording. And when I wrote it, I was mad about something. I think I was mad about just having to write the process recording. And I wrote it in probably the most rudest way possible or whatever. And I guess it somehow worried my supervisor in some way. And so I got suspended for a week. Because I literally did not, I wrote it in a way that I did not say to the student. And then the other thing that was mad, because I was like, hey, don't you think that it would be, I don't know, don't you think you should be a better sibling to your sibling or whatever? And he's like, yeah. This was during the original meeting. He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, well. And then I came with an idea about a video game, co-op video game. They play together, they don't fight, and he can be a leader. Ultimately, I wrote something completely different. And supervisor got upset, and eventually I got suspended, and then and the kid's mom now knew about it, and like it was just a whole thing where I had to apologize to the kid, and I was just like, that also kind of, I was like, whatever, it's just an apology. But it was also just really maddening. Just because it was like I did not tell the kid to shut up, and I don't fucking, guys, what are you doing? You guys cannot kick for shit. Yeah, I don't know. I was pissed off about that stuff. And I think if I were to use my brain, that it was a culmination of me. I wouldn't call this late, but I guess it is late, where I would show up as the kids were coming through the gate. Not all the time, but some of the time, and like that is considered late to the internship. And so that sometimes happened. It didn't happen every day, but it sometimes happened. And because I guess there was a rule where all the teachers had to be at the school before the kids got there, which, yeah, you're a teacher, I guess. And that same scenario applied to the interns. Yeah, that was just kind of annoying, but I dealt with it. And because that didn't happen all the time, that was seen as a problem. The other thing was I had volunteered or suggested to, because I would like to be, at this time, or that time, I wanted to be like a school teacher type thing. Ideally, what I would have done is I would have done what a former teacher in middle school did with me, which was I went to his classroom, maybe for the periods that I was not a good student, and he would have helped me with reading, math, and he was just overall good. I had three teachers that really helped me with that stuff. Ms. Parker, Mr. Orr, and Mr. Stearns. So, and despite his name, actually he was kind of stern, but he was really nice with it, and like we got along great because he played college football and he knew a lot about college football, and I loved college football at that point, and I loved the Florida Gators and all this other stuff. So yeah, it was really great. I don't think I would have really done a lot of good in that middle school if it weren't for him, because I had shaped up from 6th to 7th grade, that's for damn sure. And then 8th grade, I was a perfect angel. Anywho, so that was the idea that I wanted to kind of do, and so I wanted to get my fresh start at that, and so I was able to go into a classroom, kind of assist, be a teacher's assistant essentially. So I got to do 2 jobs at once, be an intern and a teacher's assistant. And then it blew up because I guess I went in at the wrong time. I don't know. I can't exactly remember what the issue was, but I think it had to do with going in at the wrong time or something. And that was also just... So that and... God, what else? I wish I remembered what it was. But there was something else. But going in at the wrong time was kind of the main one. So yeah. So that kind of blew up, and then it became this issue where it was like the mom was telling the supervisor that, like, oh my gosh, if his dad hears about this, he'll be so mad. So I was just like, oh my God. And so at that point, I was super frustrated and pissed off. And so I had to switch posts, because you have posts in the morning, which is why you had to be there before the students. And my post went from being outside to being inside the cafeteria, in which I got to help students open their juices and stuff, make sure they eat. Anywho, so there was that. I guess combined with that, I didn't feel as though the field teacher really helped, although I wasn't sure. I don't know. I felt as though I had to be put on like a remedial plan type thing regarding those 2 situations, or I guess 3, but mainly those 2. And so that was, I guess that was set upon by my field teacher and the supervisor. Those I felt like were, and then the biggest thing that I think kind of pissed me off about that was like, the thing was set. I was like, you can either go back to your internship after your suspension, and like passing will be up to your field supervisor, or you can take it up with student affairs. And I was like, student affairs is essentially HR for students, so they're going to be no fucking help. So I kind of had no choice but to go back and go back to the internship and finish it out. Yeah. I also kind of felt like my supervisor didn't really believe in me in a way, just because I didn't automatically open up to my field supervisor, mainly because it was a whole new environment. I'm not sure what I'm doing, and there's just something in me that just didn't feel right. Like, I wasn't comfortable in that new environment. I wasn't comfortable in the school. I really wasn't comfortable in the area that the school was in, because it was in the most, I don't know if it's the most, but it's like pretty near Kensington / it's in Frankfurt, but it's like kind of near Kensington, which, if you don't know, is the biggest open air drug market. I don't know how fucking true that is, but yeah. And one other thing was, I wasn't sure about this, but this isn't really a big deal. I ended up flipping out on my teacher, actually, for like a good 10 minutes after class one day, which got me into more trouble type thing. I wrote to my field teacher about like, hey, this is what was going on, and no, and I had written that like, hey, about the thing I told to the child, like, hey, this is what I said, and like, I even had told my supervisor that I had said this, like, when I said it that day, and she didn't really acknowledge it, because at that time she was kind of on her phone. I don't know what she was doing. I think she was just looking at something, and she said, like, how do you think that went, or something like that, and I was like, fine, like, I don't know, like, I don't know. I don't fucking know. I'm thinking that what I did was fine, because the kid seemed happy. The kid seemed normal. And even after that, the kid was, what was it? He was like more open to me. Like before that, he was not open at all. He was very shut off, shut out, and like just didn't really talk about things. Even in others, like in sessions, he would be fine, but like throughout the day, if I saw him in the school, he wouldn't acknowledge me or whatever. But I don't know. After we had that conversation, he was fine, and so I'm just like, oh, okay. Well, it looks like there's maybe I solved something or whatever. But man, you stupid child. I know that doesn't make my case good enough, but there was a child who literally, he's like 10 or 11, so he knows better than to do this, but he put water on his head and then he just left the bottle in the middle of the field. Who teaches these damn kids? Anyway, but ultimately I think it all worked out, because ultimately when my supervisor talked to the kid and the kid's parents, and said the wrong thing that I did not say, but I guess I wrote down, like, you're not a good, I guess I wrote down, he's not a good sibling or something, and so, but that's not what I said, and so the kid started crying profusely, and like, he eventually talked about why he was acting out at home, and like, it kind of worked out, because we figured out why he was acting out at home, and then maybe I started to think, okay, well, that's something you can work with at school, in therapy, and at home. So, I don't know. Maybe it worked out. Maybe it didn't. We'll see. Oh, God. What else? All right. So, summer camp happens in July of that year. And I go to summer camp. I don't go to summer camp. I work at a summer camp. And the summer camp is essentially a summer camp for children, ages like, I don't know, first grade to 6th grade maybe. Summer camp was great. The children were great. And the only thing that was a problem was a person named, let's just call her Jen. Person named Jen. They were extremely rude to me the entire time. It was insane. I literally did not know this person. I've never met this person. I've never seen this fucking person. And the first day of camp or whatever, like I introduced myself to people or whatever, and like, she's like, hey, she like doesn't look up at her phone. It's like, okay, whatever. Like maybe she's having a bad day, whatever the fuck. And then throughout the camp, I like try to like, cause it's a shit ton of kids. So like we all try to help each other out. And so I would try to like, hey, do you need help with this? She's like, no. And I was like, okay. But the one thing that like kind of, it didn't upset me, but it just annoyed me, was we were doing an event, we were doing a hangout without the children at someone's house, and someone asked a question about trust, like who do you trust and who do you least trust out of the group, and like least trust was me, and I was like, okay, but she said, just because I don't know you, and I was like, okay, you don't know anybody else either. Like there are at least 1, 2, 3 other people in the group that you don't know, but somehow I'm the least trustworthy person. So I don't know. I came to the idea that it was because I was black, just because I couldn't figure out any other reason. This person also went to like a private school pretty much their entire life. So, but this person wasn't white. So this person was a minority that Donald Trump is going after. And so it was just like, I don't know. Like, whatever their reason was, that was their reason. I didn't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know why this person had to be so goddamn rude. But I had to put up with it for 4 weeks. I think the only one nice time thing was when I did this shit. I planned a brunch for one of the people that was leaving, because they were from a different country, and after they did summer camp, they were leaving. And so I texted everybody in the group chat except that person. I was like, hey, I'm planning a brunch for this place at this time. Show up, bring a gift. It all worked out, and then at that point, this person was like happy and smiling, but obviously being around a shit ton of people, going to a brunch, and like being in a happy environment changes how you act. I don't know. Anyway, I should have put this before the Jen thing, but a shooting happened before the camp that I had witnessed and had to call in, and that was extremely traumatic and ended up giving me PTSD, which now makes me despise the ghetto and despise where I live and all this other stuff. But I don't think anybody likes the ghetto. Anyway, number 7 was blamed for stalking. This is interesting. I worked at the school. What did I do at the school? My job at the school was to put on events. While putting on events, it was like a multi thing. Like there were different groups in different parts of the workplace, and front desk was one of them. I like to talk to new people and to just people in general. So I started talking to people. I talked to this one person kind of a lot because they worked a lot. And I was like, oh, hey, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, fast forward to the end of the summer camp, and I see this person like at the gym because I'm working out because that's what I do. Well, actually, I was working out because I had ended up losing a shit ton of weight. While before the camp, I had gained a lot of weight. Oh my God. Anyway, saw the person, said hi, and I was like, oh, what are you doing after? Do you want to get food? And they're like, yeah, sure. I was like, okay, great. Anywho, what happened was we got food after the whole thing. We hung out and like, they ordered something on DoorDash or something. I don't fucking know. And we waited for it outside their apartment complex thingy. Just talked some more. And that was kind of it. Like after they got their stuff, they left and I left. Oh God. I saw them a bunch during the semester, just kind of walking around because it's a very small school and literally the school is a straight fucking line. Never go to Penn if you want an open environment school because this is not an open environment. This is quite literally a straight line. Yeah, I saw them a bunch walking around, and I guess at some point they felt like I was following them. And that was kind of annoying. And then the other dumb thing that I did, the other dumb thing that I did was I was taking pictures of just kind of the school in general, but also like I was hanging out with them at the front desk, and I was like, oh my gosh, do you want a picture of yourself? And obviously they said no, but I was like, you know what, fuck it. Gave it to them, which was dumb because obviously they didn't want it, but it happened anyway. So I don't know. That was dumb. That was my fault. So yeah. Oh, and then what happened? What break was that? Thanksgiving happened or something? I don't remember. And I'd gotten them a cookie, and just as like a gift. It was like, I don't know. And so, yeah, got them a cookie, and then somehow that translated to me liking them. I was like, no, I'm just, a halfway decent person. I'm not a nice person. I'm just a halfway decent person. I will never claim to be nice. Anyone that claims to be nice is fucking lying to you. They're usually not a nice person if they claim to be nice. Anyway, oh my God, this is going to be... Anyway, what happened, that happened, and then my supervisor called me because we all work in the same department, just different areas. And they were like, oh my gosh, this person is upset at you for thinking that you like them because of the cookie and the picture, obviously. And then I guess felt like I was following them. And I was like, what the fuck? First of all, this is the smallest campus ever. And so that kind of pissed me off. And then it just kind of spiraled into something completely different where the police got involved. So that was fun. Yeah, it was really annoying. Yeah, that was stupid. Oh my God, did I drop it? I didn't drop it, it's in my pocket. So yeah, that happened. All right. Oh, this is kind of weird, and you wouldn't expect this to happen in graduate school, but some students called it bullying. I wasn't sure what to call it, but I was in a class. I'm just going to call it the racism class. It's not called the racism class, but it has to deal with racism. And okay, so hopefully my phone doesn't fall, and hopefully my storage keeps going. So there was a student who I guess didn't like the way I acted or something. I don't fucking know. Anyway, we'd be in class, like doing assignments or whatever, and I'm gonna give one example. We watched a video about the Baltimore riots due to Freddie Gray's death, and uh, I don't know. Like the teacher asked, "Hey, who was a certain character in the show or whatever?" And I said like, what was his role? And I was like, he was a gang member, gangbanger, actually, is what I said. And so this person got upset because they felt as though that was rude. However, that is a term that people use. It's what he did. I don't know. I guess it wasn't a progressive way of saying it. I don't know. I don't know what a progressive way of saying gang member. I guess because it just said gang member, but like gangbanger, gang member, whatever. Anyway, that became kind of an issue, and then there were other things like, I don't know. I had asked them for advice about I asked them for advice once about like, hey, how do I present myself in a better way or whatever, just to kind of like see what they were trying to get at when they were like critiquing me openly. God damn it. And you know what? Fuck it. We'll just hold this goddamn thing. And I did they told me, hey, just write some things down, figure out who you are, all these different things. I was like, okay, whatever. Anyway, I guess was a problem for the students and that entire right side of the class anyway. And at that point, I was just like, fuck it, I don't care. Then there was this other thing that kind of made me pariah on that side of the classroom. There was a presentation. Presentation was fine. And I like to kind of joke around about serious things just because serious things are always upsetting. So it's nice to have some levity, I think, instead of being all so goddamn negative about everything. Anyway, presentation was over. Gave out things. They gave out things. And I was like, oh, cool. Then they said something about like how doing things like giving out information regarding immigrants is terrorism now. And I said, oh, sweet, I'm a terrorist. Which I guess apparently was a big issue for students. Some students laughed. Actually, a lot of students laughed. But I don't know. It was kind of, I don't know. Some people were upset. I didn't really care. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I did confront one of the students about it, like why they were, I don't know. They seem to give excuses about like, oh, we treat you like shit because of the things you do regarding that. And I was like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. But they seem to make it a big deal. And I'm not really recounting things accurately. That sounds really bad. But accurately in a way that like reflects what they said in like absolute truth, is kind of giving a synopsis. Synapses. That's in your brain. So yeah, that's one thing. Hold on 1 second. So that was kind of an ongoing thing during the semester. So in the last one is ostracized from class and school. Due to my outgoing nature and my outlook on life, which is rather negative, I was ostracized in some ways. Like I think mainly due to like the inappropriate question earlier mentioned, that like half the cohort, I don't know, like half the cohort was like, of me, you know, and there was this one student who hated my guts. Couldn't figure out why. I mean, I guessed why, but like, there were two instances. Like, there was an instance where, there was an event. I was at the event. I was just kind of hanging outside because I was talking to somebody on the phone. And then their whole posse showed up. And, like, this person gave me, like, the meanest look ever. And I was like, what the fuck is this person's problem? Keep in mind, I've interacted with this person maybe a little bit more than a little bit. Because we had a group thing, because we all had class together the first semester, like the very, very first semester. Then we had another class together relating to law and immigration. We had another class together, like this last year, relating to colonization and things of that sort. Anyway, this student despised me. I don't know, like the rudest person ever, and that always kind of like irked me. Um, I don't know. That entire friend group despised me, which is just like, okay, whatever. Like, I get it, kind of, but I'm also just like, are you... I have a standard of people who are in helping professions. Granted, this standard doesn't go for everybody, or doesn't... Not everybody has this sort of standard, but I feel like if you're in a helping profession, your goal is to understand things. But obviously not many people want to understand things that they don't want to understand, and that's totally fine. One other thing about the bulletin class thing, I sat next to somebody actually decided to sit next to me, and we were pretty good friends, and she had told me that at one point, someone on the other side of the class that this class was segregated. Pretty much every white student was on the left side, every person of color was on the right side. You're lucky I didn't say colored person, because I would have said that originally, and I guess I did say it. Anyway, oh my God, please stay. You're not gonna stay, are you? You bitch. What was I saying? Segregation, we're back in segregation. Isn't it funny how the racism class is segregated? Anyway, at one point, one of the students apparently asked the person I was sitting next to why they sit next to me. And this was something that I was just like, okay. Obviously, people have their cliques and whatnot, because that's what happens in life. But to ask another student why they sit next to another student, I think is a little bit too far and pretty ridiculous, and just overall doesn't create a together environment. Because obviously, if you're going to be a social worker and you want to heal the world, you can't be extensively rude or nasty to the students who you feel like, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's disgusting and stupid. I think it's dumb. I don't know. I don't think you can be in this profession and have that much negativity towards someone who didn't really do anything to you, and who, I don't fucking know, kind of retarded. And I feel like it doesn't really, I don't know. I was going to say something else. I can't remember what I was going to say. But yeah, ostracization, that thing. I don't know. Oh, I was going to do this. So the idea of people helping other people, especially people helping people of color, is a popular one this day and age. Because people of color have never gotten this much attention ever in society, unless they're being, what is it, segregated or like racist, I don't know. People throwing rocks at people of color, right? So things like that. And I felt as though, and it sounds really, I feel like this is true. Whenever there's a situation regarding a certain ethnicity and like the gender of that ethnicity, suddenly society shifts their focus to like saving that ethnicity and like being like, oh my gosh, we have to recognize this. And for black men, it's like whenever they get like murdered by police, everybody's like, oh my God, black men. And then like when a black woman gets murdered by police, oh my God, black women, and all this other shit. And so it's like, how are you going to sit here and have this angrily upset bias towards me, regardless of what you've heard, and like really sit there and say you're going to be a social worker who's going to be fighting for change of the colored people mindset, or of people of color? I don't know. Like, how are you going to... That doesn't match up. Like, at some point, I probably would have just forgotten about it and gave up and like tried to not... I mean, it's entirely, sorry. Anyway, I mean, it's entirely up to you to forgive and forget, and it's entirely up to you to forgive and reconcile. But I think to hold it over somebody's head, I think is ridiculous, especially for like 2 years. I don't know. I try not to be a douchebag to people, but at some point I'm just kind of like, you know what, fuck you. And so yeah, it was just really weird because like the people of color in the class didn't like the white people. The white people were like, oh my goodness, oh my gosh, hold on. Yeah, white people, I don't know, they felt uncomfortable kind of, and they felt, I don't know, it was really, 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 really not what you would expect from a social work program. Sometimes I felt like it was just like because there were people of color at a high institution, like they felt like they had to be really, really, really adversarial to students who have the same color of people who usually get into school or go to these schools and like rule the world or whatever. I don't know what it was. It was ridiculous though. I'm somebody who kind of hangs out with anybody as long as you're not a fucking asshole. But you can't win them all. So these are the things that it's just note called. Hold on. Things that went wrong here in Philadelphia. And I genuinely kind of can't wait to leave because I don't like this city currently. I'll probably like it when I'm older and if I ever come back, but I do not want to live here. The only way I live here is if I get a job here, but honestly, I'm really hoping I get the fellowship in Texas. Because if I do, I'm out. First, I need to get my LSW, and that's been a pain in the ass because it's just been a bunch of like, I don't know. They make getting a license difficult. It's almost like they don't want you to get a license. Anyway, that's my outlook of the program as a black person and as somebody who screws up a lot, and somebody who doesn't like people who say that they're gonna help people and then turn around and be the nastiest motherfuckers on planet Earth. Anywho, some of it's probably deserved. Some of it I don't think was deserved. And some of it, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it, actually. I just know that I feel upset and pissed. And that's kind of the thing they preach in social work schools, to acknowledge your feelings. So, as long as, I don't know. I'm not living in my delusion. I told you all the things that were accurate. I may have done more things, I don't remember, but these were the biggest things that happened here. And honestly, I apologized a bunch to the person I asked the question to the people I asked the question to. One of them said it was fine and it wasn't a big deal. However, their friend group was nasty, which was, yeah, their friend group didn't. Anyway, and then the other person I apologized to, they were kind of, I don't know, they didn't say it was fine, but they accepted the apology and they were like, whatever. They seemingly got over it. I don't fucking know. But I don't know what happened during the semester, but I don't know, I'm not going to say that. But ultimately I tried to say hi, I tried to say, hey, how are you? And they were like, hey, how are you? And then they turned their back. It's like, okay, whatever. I have no idea. I don't know. I've done much worse to people. So, and like, that was when I was a kid. So when I'm ranking these things about what I did wrong or whatever, oh, he missed. That's on the very bottom list. Was it stupid? Yes. Should I have done it? No. What did this all lead to? It allowed me, these actions have been positive, however, because they've allowed me to figure things out about my life and led me to my autism diagnosis and then my PTSD diagnosis and then just a whole host of things, and it's allowed me to get a better grasp and view about what's wrong with me and what's going on in life. So yeah, that's it. I look real black. Anywho, I'm gonna go eat my gummy worms. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, thank God. And hopefully it doesn't start raining, but I appreciate you listening and watching. Leave a comment if you think this was stupid or if you think that I deserved all the pain and suffering I got or whatever. Some of it I maybe transferenced, but I don't know. I don't know. Anywho, I also felt like people were afraid of me. That was just kind of weird, but I don't know. Some people were just like, I don't know. Anywho, that's it. Now I'm gonna leave and eat my gummy worms and then walk to the gym, put my stuff in the locker, and then have a good day. Konnichiwa. I don't fucking know. Bye.